Today I'm with Richard Torrez Sr. He's head coach at Tulare Athletic Boxing Gym, and he's a former amateur as well. How are you doing today, Richard?
Everything is good. Still healthy, still above ground, so no, it's good.
Now, you're head coach of Tulare, but you're also the father and coach of Richard Torrez Jr., who's one of the top-ranked super heavyweights in the world. I know he's in camp training. How's his training going at the moment?
Doing well. He's got a couple of sparring partners. He's got a professional that's there, and he's doing well. He's feeling good, and he's feeling confident. His training's going well.
And he's just recently done a training camp with Team GB, hasn't he, and Team Canada, I think it was, in Tulare.
Yes.
How did that go?
That went well. He was, he was happy to get in the ring with the big guy and do some sparring and work on some techniques and some moves. Everything went well. He's got another camp coming up after Bulgaria. They go to Bulgaria, then they go to Spain. And he has another camp in Chula Vista, and I believe Great Britain's coming again.
So when's the Olympic qualifiers looking at the moment?
In May are the qualifiers are supposed to take place.
Right.
And then the last chance qualifiers will be taking place in June, and the Olympics are supposed to be in July. So in May, we'll be in Argentina. June will be in France, and the Olympics, of course, in Japan, if everything goes as planned.
Yeah. Now, I've interviewed 4 out of Team USA. Andrea Medina, who's won back-to-back tournaments in Europe, doing very well. Anthony Herrera, who's a great flyweight, isn't he, from Los Angeles. Bruce Carrington, Bruce Shoo Carrington, and your son, Richard. Now, they come across, I've obviously followed the team a little bit. It comes across as a very strong team, this Team USA. What do you think of them?
I think it's great. One of the reasons people used to tell me, why are you giving your son to USA boxing? And I'd say, that's not what I'm doing. We have a strong bond, and what I'm doing is I'm giving him all the experience he needs. And that's one thing USA Boxing is really good at, is getting them the experience with Billy Walsh here, getting the international experience, things like that. It's really good for them, and I just think they're an awesome team, and they have gold in the hills for them.
Now, when I interviewed all four members said the same thing, that the key to the success was consistency. What do they mean by that?
The consistency is just to be on your game, on your point, and training. You got to have everything in order to get that gold. So the consistency is right frame of mind, right training, and right environment to get the good training. So all of them are staying focused. All of them are on task, and all of them want that gold.
Now, Rich is obviously doing very well. I think he's got 161 wins, hasn't he, and only 9 defeats. Amazing record at amateur. When did you, and he's number 3 in the world, when did you realise he could go that far in the sport?
I knew he had something special. Both my kids, and I have a daughter that's awesome, and she just graduated from college. I want to give a shout out to my daughter, Maggie. She's a college graduate now. So once you're young, we've always kind of instilled in them. My wife's really good at that, and she says, you're destined for greatness. You have, it's that mindset that you got to continue to keep, having him grow up with. When he was a kid, we put him in every sport. Both my kids, soccer, baseball, football, whatever they wanted to do, just to get that coordination and that general muscle growth. So I just kind of seen him throughout the years keep improving and reaching those benchmarks that I needed him to reach in order to continue boxing. If he was a kid that was in the past, and he didn't like getting hit, or he just couldn't get the gist of the game, I would have pulled him out. But he kept reaching those benchmarks, and I was like, okay, we got something here. Even when he turned 16, he had already been to the World Championships as a youth, as a junior, and I told him, if you don't want to box after you turn 16, that's all right with me, because you got the benefits out of it. Now you're getting hit by grown men. It's a little different atmosphere. So he just kept reaching those benchmarks. And I'd say, probably when he's about 15, we both started coming to realization, hey, we got something good here.
Now, you're head coach of Tulare, like I said, and that club's been going for...
I like how you got that. You got it right, Tulare, yeah.
I got it wrong the first time, I think, with Richard. But I think the club's been going for 75 years. So that's an achievement in itself. Yeah. What other amateurs have you got there that are doing well there?
Right now, as far as we're shut down. Right now, we're shut down. I have the gym open just on a one-on-one basis with a couple of my coaches who are doing personal training. We had some amateurs who were ranked in the top 10. But you know what? It's just that day in, day out grind. It's very hard to achieve, hard to stay on top of. Some of them turned pro. They wanted to make a little money. They turned pro, and they thought there was a lot of publicity out there. So some went their own way, things like that. As far as top amateurs right now, I don't have any that are in the top 10 or making a national name for themselves. It's a hard sport. And I tell people all the time, because I'm in education, and they ask me a lot of times how to get gang members out of gangs. How do you make a world champion? I said, you got to move them in. You got to adopt them. You got to be in their head all the time. And you can be part of their life every day.
I went to America in 2019, and I wasn't too far from you. I was in Vegas to Santa Barbara and up to Monterey, and finished in San Francisco. But I saw there, like the UK, there is a lot of social problems. And how do you think boxing can benefit people? What can it do for people?
You know what? Boxing's a sport that's still in the dark ages a lot of times. And I think, right now there's a little divide in, it used to be that everybody was fighting for something, for a better life. And then people start going to education wise, and boxing became a dark horse in the race. And I think that if we got enough people involved in boxing, they'd say that we're not too much different. Everybody's fighting for something. Everybody has a goal to achieve. It's just that these kids, need a little bit of a break on things, and we got to see both sides of the story. Because I tell the kids all the time when they come to the gym, I say, hey, if you see somebody tagging up, doing graffiti on the building or breaking a window, stop them. That person who they're doing the graffiti or messing up the building, that money could have been coming to us as a donation. Now they're not. Now they think that, all the kids who are, not going to school or whatever it may be are urchins and they're not doing well. I says, you got to fight for the right to be recognized as an individual. And they have to know that, they got to make a good showing for themselves.
And did I read this right? Did the community of Tulare help build the gym that you're in now? And
yes,
you do free lessons as well, don't you?
So there's two aspects to that. First is, yes, the community of Tulare was a noon Rotary. They came through and they're helping. My wife's an awesome speaker. She speaks very well, and we had been around since 1945. My dad started the boxing club, and we were in a little hole in the wall shack. It was an adobe building that the county of Tulare allowed us to rent for since 1972. And people would come through and they'd see all the programs we ran through it. We were feeding homeless. We were, helping with shelter and things like that we received grants for. And the community says, hey, how do you folks do that on such a limited budget and such a small building? I said, we make that connection. We make that connection with the community. They know that we're safe people to talk to, and we're not going to bust them or make fun of them or anything like that. So so they saw that what we were doing, and they says, we want to help you grow bigger. So Noon Rotary, along with ourselves, we raised some money and we got a new gym. So it was awesome. It's an awesome gym. So we had that going, and yes, it's a free program up until about 2 years ago. And then what happened was I started getting parents or mothers or whatever dropping off their kids for me to babysit, basically. And I said, hey, you got to train. What are you doing here? Where you train? And they said, oh, my mom said I don't have to spar today. And I think, that's not the way it works. So we started charging $20 a month. And if the kid comes to me, I don't collect it very often. I says $20 a month. So the kid will come and say, hey, you got your money this month. Then I'll get it tomorrow. Okay, don't worry, man. If you can't afford it, let me know. And a lot of times the kids can't afford it. You know what I mean? They have 2 or 3. So what we do is our fees are $20 for the first kid, $10 for the second kid, $5 for a third kid, fourth kid, or anybody else in the family is free. So it just keep people honest, keep them honest, and keep those who want to come and box coming.
And do you want people there for fitness as well as ones who want to be amateur boxers?
Yes, exactly. And then USA Boxing started a couple years ago, the fitness membership. So now you don't have to get in a gym. It's a lesser price to compete. It's like $120 for the year membership. This one's just a $25 a year membership or a $35 a year membership. So yeah, it's a fitness membership. And we're like the only place in the county in this area that allows families to work out together.
Now, what's the philosophy? I know it's hard at the moment with COVID and it being shut down, but I'm trying to make these videos with looking past that, you know, that the world returns to normal pretty soon. What's the philosophy of the club? You know, parents who are thinking of sending their children, when will they spar, that type of thing?
You know what? It's a personal, it's my choice. It's my decision along my coaches. You know, not everybody's made to be a boxer. Not everybody, you know, should be boxing. I'm in the ring every time. There's days I don't go. You know, we're 4 to 5 days a week, and I'll go 2 to 3 days a week, and you know, got to be home sometimes. So not everybody gets in the ring, but those who do, I watch them very closely. It's very easy. If you're involved in boxing for any length of time, you kind of know this kid doesn't like it, or this kid's going to get hurt, or this kid's going to. Now I start edging them away from it. I start kind of, hey, hit the bag. No, you're not sparring today. No, you know, and just kind of, before you know it, I'll talk to kids. I haven't had kids I spoke to. One kid was a good kid, and he was, man, every time he got in the ring, he just froze. But his parents were pushing for him to do it. So I finally asked him, hey, do you want to box? You know, and he goes, no, my dad, my mom, my dad, they want me to do it. And I says, okay, from this point on, you don't box no more, okay? And you let your parents come at me in order to do that. And he stayed there for a while, but he moved it finally. But he was so relieved to know that, you know, he wasn't even put in that situation. And, you know, the philosophy is, it's not for everybody, but everybody benefits from something.
Now, head coaches always amaze me, the commitment it takes to run a boxing club. You know, I just help out at our boxing club and fill in. But the head coach, obviously, it can take up over your life, can't it? How hard is it to stay committed year after year?
You know what? It was easier when my boy was there every day. Yeah, I could always say, hey, we got to go train the boy and stuff. It's difficult. You know, it takes on a whole life of its own. People think that I make a lot of money at the gym. I don't make any money. You know, money comes out of the pocket all the time. As you know, talk to any coach, they'll tell you, I spend more than I make. Okay. And so it's like, you know, you got to have a good family behind you, a good woman behind you to say, hey, it's all right. You see many fighters, many coaches says, I'm married to boxing. You know, they lose their family because of that, because there's so much time commitment. It's addiction to know that you're helping somebody and you're working to get that person to a world championship or to a better place. It's just difficult to do it, you know, with a full-time job and doing the boxing, that's the second job. It just takes cooperation from everybody around you, and they stick to it enough to get it done.
Now, you're coach of Richard as well, of course, your son. Yes. What advice would you give to parent-child coaching relationships? Is it hard to switch off when you're not in the gym?
You know, my son said it, and I told him for many, many years, it's no fun going home with the coach, because my dad was my coach also when I boxed. So it's no fun going home with the coach. I understand that. And for a parent, you got to realize you got to listen and watch your child. The sport's not for everybody. You know, it's not a reflection of you if your child is not good at something. Okay, whatever it may be, because many parents want to live vicariously. We get a lot of that from parents. They want to live vicariously through the child. It's difficult because when you are poverty and you're poor, and nobody has anybody to look up to, and your child starts winning a boxing match, oh, the focus of the family, uplifting the family comes from that child. And so much responsibility that's too much for a child to bear. So you can't push a child so much that you break them. You see many good kids that were great amateurs, great Junior Olympic, great. Start, man, this kid's got something. I like that. And by the time they get to be 14, 10, they're burned out. They can't handle them more and stuff. Just too much pressure, too much, asking of them. So you just got to be careful with that, and you got to baby it along, and you got to make sure that you have benchmarks as you set up with yourself and with the coach. Let's reach these benchmarks. Okay. I had a kid that was number 3 in the nation. Came back. I had great hopes for him. He's 15, 16. All right, we're gonna get somebody as a kid. He stopped. He went and got a job. Now, am I mad at the kid? No, I'm not mad at the kid. Dad still comes. He's one of my coaches, in fact. Comes in and stuff. Kid went and got a job. His focus shift. All right.
I was going to say that to you. How difficult is it as a coach when you've put a lot of time, effort into a boxer, and then they stop for a reason like that? Are you okay with that? Or they go to a different club?
It used to be that if you went to a different club, it's kind of a personal offense. You're like, you take it personal because you put so much time into the gym and everything. But when the kid stops and everything, and as you mature as a coach and as a person, you understand it's not about you. It's not about you. This kid is not stopping because you aren't a good coach. This kid didn't stop because you didn't do what you needed to do. This kid stopped for other reasons. So you got to take yourself out of the mix, out of the equation, to know that the kid is his own individual. I'm not getting hit. I tell my son that all the time. Anytime you tell me, Richard, you don't want to box anymore, my wife tells me, you let me know, because I'm not getting hit. I love the ride. I love being part of it, but I'm not getting hit. So a kid that is boxing and they leave me for whatever reason, we're good. He come back anytime I want to train and hang out, we're good with that. It's a hard sport.
Mm. How popular is it in California, amateur boxing?
You go to cultures, you know what I mean? It's a poverty type of a sport. Many people want to lift themselves up through the sport of boxing. We have a lot of Hispanics, a lot of Mexicans in this area, and stuff fits right in the culture. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to be a boxer, but no one wants to train to be a boxer. So it's fairly popular with the kids, but with the general population and stuff, those who have a little more money, those who have a little more, time, whatever it may be, they kind of shy away from it a little bit. But like you see on TV, you see heavyweight championship of the world, it's packed. California does a good job with that. LA has a good boxing community. San Francisco has a good boxing community. Central California, which we're about 3 hours from both sites, has a good boxing community. But it's still not a mainstream sport.
Now, you hold a very big tournament, don't you, in honor of your dad, the Manuel Torres Invitation. Obviously, last year is probably written off, but you've been doing that, is it for 20 years? I
got one more year to be 20 years. And thanks for bringing that up. My dad, Manuel, who started the club and, was the founder of the association, our association, our LBC, he's one of the founders, or the founder. He passed away in 99. So we had 1 year, he saw the tournament. And then after that, he passed. And then what happened with the tournament was it became a political football for many boxing clubs in the association. This, that, no, let's not have here. I said, you know what? That's my dad's name. That's my dad's tournament. I'm going to take it over. And I had no pushback, and they allowed me to have it. So yeah, we've had a team from England come in several years back. We had teams from Canada, Mexico, Italy. There are a couple of years we had some financial backing. I was able to bring those teams in. Now it's more of a regional tournament. We'll have people from all of California, Nevada, sometimes from Arizona. But it's a nice little tournament that gives you an idea what a multi-day tournament, multi-ring tournament looks like for some of these kids who won't get to that level.
Now, mentioning your dad there, Manuel, what do you know about his boxing journey? Did he come over from Mexico, or was he born in?
No, he's the first generation. My grandfather, which I knew briefly, he passed away in 1980. Spoke Spanish, and my Spanish isn't that good, so we didn't have too much communication. But my grandfather came over after the Mexican Revolution. He came over and he homesteaded a lot of land. So my uncles and my dad, were farming 2,000 to 5,000 acres. So that put a slow down to the boxing when he was younger. But one day, his uncle came home from military and said, "I'm boxing in the military now." My dad says, "Well, I want to box." And they put the gloves on. My uncle was, 18, 19, whatever long he's been in the military. And my dad, who was 15 at the time, 14, put the gloves on him. And my uncle whooped him. And my dad didn't like that. And he says, "You know what? I'm going to get him back. I'm going to get him back." And just started training and stuff, opened up a gym just to get some more sparring partners for himself. And then before you know it, he's training people and things like that. He fought locally, the amateur scene. Then he went to the military and fought for the military. And he fought for the U.S. Air Force, and he was stationed in Alaska. And he, went to all world military championships and things like that. So he was pretty good. I remember getting in the ring.
Too young, would you, to actually see him box?
You know what? And it's striking because I never got to see him box. I seen some pictures of him, in the ring and throwing punches and things like that. I remember being 16. I was already ranked in the nation, in the world at that time, in 16. And I got in the ring with him, and he says, he says, "Don't come at me. Don't hit me, because I don't want to get into it with you, He says, "Let me just pop you, I'll just, so you can move the head." Okay. So I think to myself, this is going to be easy cake, And he hit me with a jab like, shit, what was that? I didn't like that. So he had a lot of power. His boxing, I think he had kind of flat feet and didn't move a whole bunch, but he could punch, boy. So we just that's all I know about him, really. Yeah,
my son was an elite boxer, and I sparred with him one day. He didn't hold back.
He's that one's for that time, and this one's for that time.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Now, looking back on your dad, can you remember which boxers he liked to watch?
You know what?
You like to watch, Richard?
My dad's the greatest boxer of all time was Joe Louis. That was it. Joe Louis was the greatest boxer of all time. He liked the style. He liked all those. He liked Joe Frazier. He liked Roberto Duran. But his go-to every time was Joe Louis. You tell him any boxer you want to talk about, Joe Louis was the man.
Now, like you said, he had a farm, and I presume you worked on the farm during your younger days. Oh. I worked on the farm for about 4 years, and I don't think I've been as fit as when I've worked on when you started boxing.
You know what? As a kid and stuff, I remember being on the farm, and I was, 7 years old, and we're about 10 miles from the nearest town. So there was no stores, no hanging out with buddies and things like that. So there's nothing to do. So you're throwing clods, you're throwing rocks, you're throwing, just finding things to do. And all of a sudden, some guys showed up in my dad's garage and started training. So I said, well, I want to do what they're doing because I want to hang out with people. So he started holding me, my legs, things like that. And then what happened was I started slowly getting into it. On top of that, my dad would always say, no matter what you do, treat it as a workout. So he sent me out to the field to chop weeds, to drive the track, whatever it may be. He goes, that's a workout. So in fact, I don't think he paid me enough because he was giving me something. He was giving me something free. He goes, that's your workout. So yeah, I would say shoveling, it helped my hooks, my body hooks, and making dams and digging ditches and things like that. It helps.
Now, you was a successful amateur yourself. Can you remember your first bout? Was it in Tulare?
My first bout, I believe, was in the local, about an hour away, and I can't really remember too much. I remember it hurt. I think to myself, screw this. I'm not gonna do this crap. This hurts. And there was no accolades, and you're a little kid and you expect to. But what won me over was after we finished the boxing show, we went to go eat at McDonald's. Man, I was hooked. They got me off the farm. I went to the restaurant and I got to eat some restaurant food. So I just started continuing doing it, even though I didn't care for it too much. I liked hanging out with people. I liked being active a little bit, but the main thing was the food at first, and then finally it won me over.
Now, like I say, you was very successful. You boxed for Team USA yourself, and you was #1 in the country at one point, wasn't you? What's your favorite memories looking back on your amateur career?
Just the travel. I love the travel. I love the feeling of putting on that USA outfit and walking through the airport and people staring and stopping, or people coming, hey, can I have your autograph? Things like that. that just, it just validates everything you did as your hard work, that people are recognizing it. It got me a lot of perks that that probably wouldn't have got otherwise, and a lot of respect. The travel was probably the best thing about the boxing and being on USA team.
A lot of the national boxers say that. Cam F. Awesome said he loved traveling the world with Team USA. What's your favourite bout though, where you felt like everything came together and you boxed brilliant?
There was a tournament. It was a under-19 tournament that now they call it the youth, I think, the youth national championships. And that whole tournament, I couldn't be touched. I was just, man, I didn't get a black eye. I just felt like I couldn't be touched. I was stopping everybody. I was, dropping them, and it just felt that I was walking on water during that whole tournament, and it was a great tournament for me.
Now, how difficult? I know a lot of boxers struggle with this. How difficult did you find it when you actually hung those gloves up and kept?
And that's a hard thing to do, is hang those gloves on. I think one of the most addictive drugs out there is ink. You know what I mean? Getting that ink from the paper, getting that notoriety, getting that rush from the win of the boxing show, of a boxing match. Getting hit. Many people who haven't got hit don't understand that. But you hit, boom, there's this rush of adrenaline that happens when you fight back and you get to a good competition. Hanging up the gloves is very difficult. I totally stopped going to the gym. My dad was still alive and he still running the gym. I stopped going to the boxing club just because every time you walk in, there's that little tinge, a little twing, like, hey, come back in. Or there's somebody that says, you think you're all that, huh? I can box you. I want to fight you. Like, and being the way we are as fighters and stuff, you're like, okay, and you get back in again. So I just stayed totally away from it, and and you just start doing a lot of things, that probably aren't the healthiest for you, but it fills a void that the boxing, when you stop boxing, there's a big void there.
Did you have other hobbies that helped that transition when you stopped, or did you get into coaching shortly after?
No, I didn't start coaching. My dad would bring him every now and then and say, hey, come work with this kid or something. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't start coaching till my dad passed in 2000. That's when I took it over. My other hobbies, just finishing school. I was always going to school. I always knew that was an avenue that if I put my efforts into it, it would always pay me back. Boxing doesn't always pay you back. You put your efforts into it 100%. And, I went to tournaments, but my goal was, like everybody else who boxes, world championship, going to the Olympics, all those things and stuff. And I didn't hit those benchmarks. I wasn't getting paid. I wasn't getting my satisfaction. So school was always the thing that I did, even when I went on boxing tournaments. And you can talk to some of the guys who, like a guy named Mario Lesperance and a couple of David Gutierrez, some top amateurs. And they're like, I remember you had books all the time. And I did, because I was always taking classes and figuring, you know what? I was always kind of taught and understood that you had to have something to fall back on. You had something to do other than boxing, because that's not going to last forever. And every time you lose a fight or you lose a big show, it's like, man, I better get something else to fall back on. And it was education. So I just continued to do that. I still ran, jogged, and stayed in shape. Started lifting weights. I was 147 pounders for a while and stuff, and you can't get too bulky. So I didn't lift any weights, but now I'm like 200 pounds, lifting weights and things like that. But just, anything else to fill the time and going to school.
Now, why do you love this sport, Richard? It is a very, very tough sport. It's great rewards when it goes well, and Richard's obviously doing extremely well. But why do you love it?
You know what? Boxing is one of those sports that feeds the true animal in us that we have. I think it creates champions. If you go to the military in the United States or any military school, I imagine in the world, one of the things they have to do is box. They have to box. It creates leaders. It creates a mindset that allows you to be successful in life. I'm an administrator at a high school, and part of the success that I have is that I deal with kids that are rough kids, And many times those rough kids will tell you, I've had kids say, Torres, they call me Torres. Torres, I'm gonna kick your ass today. I look at him, kind of smile, and says, well, I've had my ass kicked, but it won't be by you today. And we just kind of, and we joke back and forth and everything. It allows me to reach that. But boxing allows you to get this confidence to tackle life, that you say, you know what, I've been hit hard before and I can handle this. And it just allows you to be successful. Richard is great at that. He can look at a situation and evaluate it very quickly, makes you think quick on your feet for successful outcomes. So that's what boxing allows you to become a winner in life.
Now, talking about Richard there, he came across as a lovely young man, very polite, very well mannered. You do full credit to you. Now, I don't want to make you sad now, but how he's been so successful. He's number 3 in the world, a real medal contender at Tokyo, and possibly a very big future for him in world boxing. How proud does it make you what he's achieved, and how proud would it make your dad, Manuel, to see Richard doing this?
Oh, man, bring up my dad. My dad would have a sandwich board, a poster pasted across his chest, standing on the corner announcing my son's name. My dad would be in that corner every time. He would be traveling the world. He would, he sold the farm. He would have sold it earlier for this. And that's the only heartbreak I have, that my dad wasn't here to see it, because my dad always wanted a heavyweight. He made me out to be a heavyweight kind of style. I was slow on my feet, things like that. So it worked fairly well for me, but I wasn't the heavyweight he wanted. My son would have been that heavyweight. As far as what he's done, you know what? I take partial credit. My wife takes partial credit. My daughter, everybody, it's a group effort. It's a group effort, to get somebody to this level, to this success. And him being successful, it just, there's a content satisfaction that happens with that. I'm not the one getting hit. I'm not the one putting in the hours at this time. I'm not the one making those sacrifices. So I respect what he does and how he's doing it. As far as being proud, I'm busting at the buttons with that. But I understand this is his accomplishments, and I allow him to be successful that way.
Well, thank you very much for that, Richard. I've loved talking to you. I could ask you questions all night, but thank you very much. And all the best with Tulare when it reopens. My club's shut as well, but all the best.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Great interviews. Thank you very much.